Hello everyone. I'm going to demonstrate an instrument I call the bottle chimes, which is an instrument I built and designed here in my studio using metal water bottles that you can find pretty much anywhere, like this, hanging from hooks along a wardrobe rack. And I have various sizes of bottles, starting with the smallest one here. The next larger set is here. These are all the same size. Then the next set's here, they're the same size. And then the last four are the largest bottles I have. And I'm able to adjust the pitch independently of each bottle by how much water I add or subtract to each. So on the larger bottles, the lower ones, I can adjust the pitch by the range of about a perfect fourth based on how much water. And on the smallest one, the range is about a major second. And so what I end up with is essentially a fully chromatic instrument that starts on a low B flat and goes up to a D, an octave and a third above. And it's laid out like a keyboard, so the ones hanging a bit lower are the white keys, the ones hanging higher are the black keys. And there's this effect that I use quite a bit in the Jedi score, where using these timpani mallets, I'll start a roll somewhere in the middle of the instrument and then start fanning out chromatically and moving downward on the instrument, kind of creating this metallic downward gliss effect. I'll demonstrate what it sounds like. And so I use this effect everywhere in the Jedi score, in particular in the swamp on Kobo. And so what we did is we recorded it here in my studio, and then we reamped it into the speakers in the live room, Studio One at Abbey Road, and re-recorded it essentially with the same microphone array that we use for the orchestra. So it adds a bit more size and depth and grandeur to it, and makes it feel like it fits within the orchestra a bit more. So I'll demonstrate how it sounds within one of our cues. Okay, so now I'll show you how it sounds in context of the rest of the music. I'll start by playing just the raw recording that I made here in my studio of that effect on this instrument, using better microphones, of course, so you're going to actually hear more of the fundamental pitch of each bottle than you did in the demonstration I did earlier. But here's what it sounds like, completely dry and raw. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there because when I first heard this recording, I thought to myself, it's a cool effect, but I could really hear more of a smoother transition from one note to the next. It felt a little jarring how you could hear the stepping down. So I think reamping it in the Abbey Road is going to help sort of smooth that out a little bit and also add a bit of size. So here's what it sounds like once we reamped it into the studio. I recorded that exact raw recording on the speakers in the live room with the same microphones that we use for the orchestra. Here it is. Okay, so this was much closer to what I was after, yet I still feel like it's missing that sort of smoothness of transition from one note to the next, even though it definitely has more size and ambiance and bottom end and sort of depth to the sound. So what I did is I took that reamped version of it, flew it back into my sequence here in my studio, and then started to play with the audio using granular plugins, a bit of light pitch shifting to kind of help the glissandi along. So here's what it sounds like once I took the reamped version back in and started playing around with it a bit. Okay, so I liked that much more. So now let's take a listen to it in context of the rest of the orchestral recording. This is everything all together, including the reamped and granular processed version of the bottle chime gliss. So as you can hear in the beginning of this cue, I have this high strings sort of ascending chordal movement. And so I thought this would be a cool effect to add here to give it a bit of a sort of a contrary motion. So it feels like it's all spreading out as we sort of open up into the cue. But that's not the only effect I used on this instrument. In fact, I use it quite often melodically. Even in this cue, I use it a bit more melodically. So let me show you a spot where you hear the bottle chimes being played less as an effect and more as a melodic element. So here I'm using the bottles to sort of outline the harmony that is happening in the winds, for example. So there you have it. That's the bottle chimes as used on Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Thanks for watching.